In this series, we're growing a Robinhood account from $0 all the way to 1 million. And I'm showing you every step of the way how I get there. So today in the account, we did close at $12,120. We were up a little over $1,000 on the day. And really the account over the last couple of weeks has been driven by Apple calls as well as Unity software and then a bit of Grab. So these are all our current open positions. But really what I want to show you today, and if you're not already in the Discord, make sure you guys join because I post everything for free in here, as well as, the entries and the exits, as well as trade setups, giving you a bunch of information. So I really appreciate if you guys join the Discord, a lot of value in there. But let's just talk about Unity software because Unity software is driving the most growth in the portfolio. It's up about 15% over the last 3 days. And that's really because there's so much open interest on the options chain. This 88,000 open interest for the 30 calls of January 2026 is about $42 million in premium alone. Then you have all these other different strikes, right? You have a ton of open interest, and there's a lot of unusual activity on the options chain every day. This was today, Monday, July 7th. There was a lot of interest in the morning, and then even towards the end of the day, you saw this big green bar, which is the call premium that's showing up. Here was the change from last Thursday to Monday, and you can see that open interest on these shorter dated contracts, July 11th and July 18th, increased by a huge amount. You can see the previous day OI and then the current OI, and you can see how much speculation, and really this could be retail, it could be Roaring Kitty, which if you've been following along, I do think Roaring Kitty, this is his next stock. He was in GameStop last year on the squeeze from $10 to $65, and I think he could be here as well on Unity for this year. But you can see here the top options flow for Unity. This was earlier in the day. And really what is shown here is you can see a 26 call was sold, 1,600 lots, and then 30 call was bought. So these people are aggressively rolling their strikes higher on the same expiration. There's 2,400 that was rolled from 29 to 35, and then from 26 to 30, these are call spreads. So you can see that they are actually moving their spreads higher to that $29 to $35 range. So right now, a lot of just crazy interest. I talked about all the different positions. These are 500K, 800K, 400K. So they are whales in this position. It could be Roaring Kitty. It could just be some other fund. Maybe something is coming. We're not really sure, but nonetheless, what we got here from this last post was a breakout. So let's just hop right into the charts. You can see that we are looking for this breakout to play earlier back in the very beginning of June. We actually had the breakout. This is all the way back from January 2024, so it's a long-term trend break. We actually squeezed above it for a moment, but then this is when the CTO left the company for personal reasons, and it just killed the momentum on the stock. We had the breakout. This was a false breakout. We had a full retracement all the way back to 2216, which is where this initial move started to play out, as well as retesting that support level. But since then, we've just been buying back into the stock, hoping that Roaring Kitty returns because that premium that's sitting on those 30 calls never left. So we knew the whale was still in, and so we kept loading throughout this move and then through this breakout, and we actually invalidated a bearish pattern before breaking above not only this long-term trend, but also this more recent higher trend line through February to June. So now that we snuck above that line and closed above, we could actually see a lot of momentum here. This is like a little sneaky peekaboo setup, if you will. And usually when that happens, that's a confirmation of a breakout. There's a lot more volume. Thursday was actually a short day. The market closed before July 4th at 1 p.m., but this would have been 26 million volume normalized. If it closed at 4 o'clock, it would have hit around 26 million. And today we hit 33.88 million. So there's a lot of interest right now on Unity software. I do think it can continue higher. And if Roaring Kitty shows up and starts tweeting, that's at least a 20 to 30% move on the stock on the first day that he tweets. And then if he posts a position or a deep dive analysis, this stock could really get moving. But what I'm looking at short term is this 28.54 level. I do think we can push over that, try to move to this more recent high around $30 to $31. So we're looking at this level. And then this upper trend line could act as resistance, and it kind of lines up here with this 35, 36 range. So if we do get up there, that would be a solid place to start taking profit maybe on your August or even September dates, and then maybe holding anything past that for the hopes that Roaring Kitty does tweet. But usually, at least last year, he does tweet when the stock is already breaking out, because in his mind, he wants to cause a gamma ramp, which is really just when price moves rapidly. If there's a ton of OI or open interest on the options chain, like there is, this image that I showed you previously, since there's so much open interest here, as price moves higher, option dealers are forced to hedge against their position by buying shares of the underlying stock. And so if there's a a gamma squeeze, with Roaring Kitty tweeting and then a bunch of coordinated buying from just the mainstream people on social media, or maybe even spills over into the news that Roaring Kitty's back and now he's on Unity software, then this stock could just keep pushing higher and higher and higher. And if that does, you're going to be looking at this 43.52 level. And because there's not a lot of volume up here, price could move rapidly all the way up to $60, even $75 a share. That's if there is a huge amount of call buying as well as share buying from social media and mainstream media. So we'll see what happens with Unity. That's really what I wanted to cover today, give you guys an update on the challenge account. Make sure you guys join that Discord. We're just going to be banging these out. We got a bunch of other plays that are set up in there that I think are also going to run in July into August. Still bullish on the overall market, of course. I know there's a lot of talk with trade and everything, but I do think that's all going to get washed out. That narrative we've already played in this market. And then, of course, we got rate cuts ahead, and that's really what the market's going to be looking forward to into September and October. So I am bullish overall. Unity, let's get it. Let's go to the moon, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.